Hello, good evening, and welcome to Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu. We are going to continue with the topic that we were looking at last week, which was conversation builds character. Conversation builds character, and today we're doing the part two of it, and hopefully we will finish it today. Last week we started looking at the importance of having face-to-face conversation. I know we live in a digital world where everybody is now on the phone, on the tablet, on the app, on the this, on the that. But at the end of the day, we established last week that face-to-face conversation is still an avenue, not just for the benefit of the people you're talking to, but for your own good, because it forces some discipline on you. It causes you to hold yourself accountable, to present yourself, to carry yourself a certain way. And those things, those disciplines, they they eventually make you a better person because you develop good character in the process. There are things that you can do behind the phone while you're on the computer, on your tablet, that you don't even bat an eyelid, you just do it, you just don't even think about who is at the other end of what you're doing. Who is the recipient? How will they affect them? How would they feel about it? What will be their response? How would they manage what you are doing? But when you have a face to face conversation, it changes the dynamics. It's completely different. And so last week we started looking at some of the things, some of the disciplines that you'll have to learn, that you'll have to develop, that you'll have to cultivate in order for you to have a good relationship. But more than that, in order for you to have a profitable face to face conversation with other people. So we're continuing this week. Whether you like it or you hate it, networking, networking is still an important platform for developing face-to-face interaction, because when you find yourself in a group of others, when you can't stand aloof, you can't pretend as if you are Billy no mate. If you are not talking to somebody, somebody is talking to you. So networking is an excellent platform for you to develop face-to-face interaction. And because face-to-face interaction forces upon you to cultivate, to develop this discipline, it is good for you to network. It is good for you to network. How you communicate with others, how you relate to others will determine not just what will happen to them, but your own outcome of being a good conversationalist, which on the long run will help you, because you will have left good impression on people that you interact with. So in the absence of face-to-face, in your face conversation, in the absence of interacting one with another on a physical level rather than behind a gadget or an electronic equipment, in the absence of strong personal contact, personal face to face, personal interaction, rubbing minds one with another, the relationships that we have, they suffer. But more than that, there are physical, there are psychological and physiological problems that are developed because you are not interacting with people. That is how people develop anxiety. Some people go into depression, loneliness. In the midst of everybody, you are still lonely because you are not engaging others in a face-to-face, one-on-one group and an assembly together conversation. And these diseases, they wreak havoc. Some people, because of that, it has brought them to a point of where they now depend on drugs, some on alcohol, some are even suicidal because they don't have face-to-face interaction with people. I remember there was a survey that I read some years back where the doctors in America, they did a survey of people recovering from terminal illness, trying to determine why some people respond to treatment and get better quicker than others. And one of the major factors that was discovered in that survey was the fact that those people that have relatives and friends visiting them in hospital almost on a daily basis, where people are touching them, talking to them, laughing with them, joking with them, they recover quicker than those that their relatives only come once a month or not at all. So you can see the important, it is so crucial that we must engage, we must get ourselves involved in face-to-face interaction. But more than the medical benefit of it, it is the fact that the absence of this face-to-face interaction has led to the diminishment of our character generally. Because if we're saying face-to-face conversation, face-to-face interaction is a platform, it's an excellent way for you to build this disciplines and this to develop and grow and master this discipline, which if ultimately will make you a better person in your character. If you're not developing them because you're not having this face-to-face conversation, then your character will suffer. Because when you engage in a face-to-face conversation, you are forced into a self-control mode. There are requirements, there are etiquettes that guide and dictate how you relate, how you behave, how you respond, how you react, how you carry yourself, your body language, your posture, and all of that are brought to bear when you have a face-to-face conversation. But if it's behind a phone or an Android or an iOS, who cares? You can do what you like. Also, it is easy for you. It is so easy for all of us to think we are the best thing since sliced bread, to feel confident in ourselves, to believe we have an excellent idea, and we have thought it through, we have crossed the T's and dot the I's, and everything is prim and proper. It is easy for us to think our ideas are the best thing, they are brilliant, until you start talking to people about it, until you start sharing it with others, until you start talking to somebody about it, rather than them reading what you have written down. Maybe half of it you have copied from somebody else's work, or you've got that from the internet. When you start talking to people about this, your quote and unquote brilliant, watertight ideas, and then they start poking holes in it, they start telling you that's not how to do it, they start correcting this, suddenly that confidence that you have, that feeling of I'm untouchable, that feeling of floating, suddenly your feet is brought back to the earth. Does that mean they're trying to nudge you to push you one notch down? No. But the reality is, when you start talking to people, you are tapping into the reservoir of the wisdom, of the experience, of the exposure, of the background that they have, that will help you to take your idea from level 3 maybe to level 6 or 7. But if you don't talk, you don't have the opportunity to test and challenge this so-called idea you have, and see how you respond, how you relate to people when they tell you, you better sit down because this one is not ready. So those are some of the things that we covered in last week's program. Today we're going to continue in the same line. One of the things that we're going to look at today as a character building block that you will learn, that you will cultivate, that you will develop in the course of having face-to-face interaction with people is self-awareness. Self-awareness. A lot of us we're not aware of ourselves. When you interact with people, when you relate to others, you realize that they're just like you. You realize that you are not even as smooth, as secure, as vibrant as you think you are. You wouldn't know that maybe you are actually lazy. Maybe you are easily distracted. Maybe you are self absorbed in all that you do. You will not know that until you start interacting with others. Because suddenly, being in their presence forces you to act a certain way, respond a certain way, put your case forward a certain way, air your opinion a certain way. You find that the opinions which seems crystal clear and every T is crossed and every I are dotted, suddenly you're talking to others and they're like, seriously? This is a non-starter. But you see, what that does is not just the fact that they punch hole in your idea. It is how you now respond to what they are saying. It is how you react to their quote and unquote criticism. It is how you handle yourself. And because you don't want to fly off the handle and curse them out and shout at their faces, you become aware of yourself, and it forces you to hold your members, to guard yourself, to prevent you from boiling over. Also, when you have face-to-face interaction with people, remember last week we talked about the difference between listening and hearing. When you are in a face-to-face conversation with people, the natural tendency is for you to be listening to what they're saying, hearing what they're saying, and immediately forming how you are going to counter what they are saying, how you are going to punch a hole in the points they've just made, how you are going to rebuff what they have just said. But you see, as a good conversationalist, somebody who wants to develop, that is not actually practicing the art of conversation. A good conversationalist will listen. They will not just hear, they will listen to what the other person is saying. They will use the time while that person is talking, instead of using that time to start forming your own answer, to start coming up with your own points. Rather, they will use that time to listen. But the flip side of that is that when that person stops talking and now they expect a response from you, you have to come up with something. You have to come up with something that is relevant, that is relatable, that is important, that can match the standard that they have set. So what do? Because the time they were talking, you were listening. So you weren't forming, you weren't thinking of what you are going to say, you were just giving them your attention. What that does is it helps you to learn how to think on your feet. You have to now improvise, make up. As you are talking, you are thinking. As you are thinking, you are talking, and making sure that all of that is in line with the topic on the table. I'm sure you and I you've had face-to-face interaction with people, and you've said something and something and something, and then when you expect a response from them, they said, sorry, what did you say? Or they give you an answer and it's way out there from what you are saying. It is because either they were not listening, they were just hearing sound waves going past their eardrums, they were not listening, or they were all along thinking of, I'm going to say this for what he said, I'm going to counter what they said in this place. And by the time it's time for them to talk, they've lost track of what they're supposed to say. But face-to-face interaction helps you to improvise. It helps you to improvise, to think on your feet, to make it as you go along. And that is the discipline of improvisation. You have to be able to make it as you go along. Now that is that is what you do during conversation. But did you know that that discipline, that character trait, that character development will become useful for you when you are in an interview, when your spouse calls you up, when you have to deal with an emergency, when you have to go before your boss and defend a particular thing. You don't know what they're going to say. You have no clue what that person is going to say, but you still have to be able to give an answer, give an immediate, current, cogent, and reasonable answer to what they're saying. All of that, you learn the art, you learn the benefits, you gain the you gain the knowledge of improvisation while you're having face-to-face conversation. Because if, for instance, somebody send you a text on your phone, you can read it and go and think whether I should answer this text, or what you're going to say in response, or what you're going to send back in as your own text. But when it's a face-to-face conversation, you don't have that liberty of, okay, I'll come back to you next week. No, you have to say something, say it now, and it must be in line with what is being said. So your ability to respond on the spot, your ability to make it as you go along, to improve this improvisation ability is dependent on your own personal preparation. How prepared are you? Now you could say, what do you mean, how prepared, Tunde? You've just said, I don't know what this person is going to say. So how can I be prepared for what I don't know they're going to say? That's a very legitimate question. But you see, your preparation is not about what they are going to say. Your preparation is deduced from what you have done, what you have seen, the experience you have gained beforehand, the ideas that you have contemplated upon in advance, in private. There's something that has happened to you, and you have taken that and put it under your belt. The manners that you have practiced, how to hold your tongue when you're supposed to say something, how not to roll your eyes when something is being said that should ideally cause you to roll your eyes. All those preparation will help you at this point of improvisation in the course of face-to-face conversation. So as you can see, the character traits that you will develop, that you will grow, that you will enhance in the course of having a face-to-face conversation, they are so vast that the world we live in is missing out. We are all becoming less of a person because we're doing less of these simple things that will help us grow, develop, and become better men and better women. Face-to-face conversation. Another discipline, another character discipline that you will develop when you engage in a face-to-face conversation is you will learn how to put things in the right order. You will learn how to prioritize. You will learn how to separate the important things from the urgent things. You will learn how to put the right value on the right thing, on the right person, on the right situation as you go along. What do I mean by that? St. Augustine said, virtue is having your love in the right order, but sin is allowing them to be disordered. Virtue is having what is important to you, the love of your heart, what keeps your heartbeat going. Put them in the right order. But sin will cause those things to be in disarray. Conversation is an excellent way of ensuring that you have prioritized them correctly, that you have put the right priority on the things that you love. You've put the right value on the people that are close to you. You've put the right perspective on what is important versus what is urgent in your life. When you fully tune into a good face-to-face conversation. It will show that you love your friends. You value their times better than you do your new mobile phone or your iPad or your app or whatever. When you refrain in during the course of a face-to-face conversation, when you hold yourself back from perpetuating a gossip that you heard in the barber's shop or in the salon, or when you are on the bus or on the train or on the underground, when you hold yourself from sharing this gossip, it shows that you value your integrity more than you value status, to say, oh, you heard it from me, I told you. Now you are the town crier. When you value, when putting your, for instance, most people now, men, women, and every one of us, we're all guilty as charged. Where we take half of the work in the office, we take it home. And instead of getting home and shut the door against the office and concentrate on the home front, you're still on the phone. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your wife is calling you, trying to shush them. Your husband is waiting for you, and you can't get out of the house because you need to quickly send this email. This email has to go before 7 p.m. But rightly ordering what is important to you during a face-to-face conversation will help you set aside your office work and give full attention to your spouse, to your children, to your parents, to your neighbor, even to yourself. Face-to-face conversation, the value, the importance, the benefit of having face-to-face conversation, they're just so numerous. Do you know that every time you speak to somebody, every time you have a conversation with somebody, every time you open your mouth to say something, you are influencing someone somewhere, somehow, somewhere. Somebody is being influenced by what is coming out of your mouth. Whether at work, at home, in the playground, in the gym, on the bus, everywhere you are, every time you open your mouth to say something, you are actually influencing somebody. People rarely change when they've been lectured. When people are being lectured and they're being told the do's and the don'ts, they are being told what they have done wrong and what they have not done, generally such people, they become defensive. Rather than becoming transformational, they become defensive. They put their backs against the wall. And sometimes what you don't know is that a single word from your mouth, a single conversation, just one line statement that you make could change the entire direction of someone's life. If your word is that important, if your word, the word coming out of your mouth is is that weighty that it can influence somebody's life, discipline requires therefore that you are very mindful of what you say. You are very mindful of how you say it. You are extremely mindful of to whom you say it. You are all more than importantly mindful where you say things. Because every time you say something, you are influencing somebody. Through your conversation, through face-to-face conversation, you can offer someone a fresh angle on an old problem. You can remind someone of something they knew but they have forgotten, or they have been something they felt but they couldn't put it into words. Just a few sentences from your mouth is the master key that will unlock that conundrum for that person. And what you have done is you have just influenced that person's life, that person's direction, that person's outlook, that person's experience, and everything. So it is important, therefore, that when you open your mouth, in fact, before you open your mouth to say something, say it to yourself first. Say it to yourself first and see how it feels that you are hearing your own voice saying that thing. Most of the influences that we have on people when we have face-to-face conversation with them, for some of them it will be an aha moment. Oh yes, I've been looking, I just wanted to put my finger on that. You've just nailed it for me. But most of the time, it is not that light bulb inside moment. It is a progression of gradual building one layer upon another. As you speak, as you say things, as you carry them along, you are building their journey or the bridge for their journey for them. And so it is important for us to recognize that the words that we speak, they influence people. And because we should be having face-to-face conversation with people, we therefore have to develop the character of weighing what we say, of examining how we say it, of ensuring that we say the right thing to the right person at the right time in the right place. Each conversation that you have with others is a chance, it's an opportunity, it's a platform to make that person feel better than they were before that conversation. But if the word that is coming out of your mouth is negatively influencing them and sending them off track, God help us. So you must be mindful. You must develop the character. You must grow yourself to know that there is nothing like careless word. In fact, the Bible said God will judge every idle word that proceeds out of your mouth. Imagine that. The words that we speak, every time you utter them, they are influencing somebody. Another character block that face-to-face conversation will help you and I to develop is empathy. Empathy. Have you ever had issue with somebody and you were swelling like a toad? You just want to get your hands around that person's neck and squeeze some water out of their eyes. You just want to lay your fivefold ministry on that person. You are just fuming. I mean, smoke were coming out of your ears. You just can't wait to get to this person and just give them a piece of your mind. The more you think about them, the more you remember what they did, the more you think through what they've said and how they have wronged you, the bigger and the greater your anger grows. And then you meet the person face to face. And suddenly, it's like somebody just put a needle through your balloon and all those anger you just see them flying off as if they were never part of you. When you meet people face to face, it gives you the opportunity to look into their eyes, to see them as human beings, not as something that has caused you pain, not as something that has offended you, but to see that person as a human being. And suddenly, every of their faults, everything they've done wrong, everything that has been causing you to growl and fume and want to burst out of your own skin, all of that will suddenly be replaced by the memories that you've shared. By the time that you were together, the time they got your back, you started to remember the good qualities of who that person is, the benefit that they have been to your life. Suddenly you feel what they are feeling. Suddenly you see what they see. You sit in their seat and you feel the heat in your backside, and suddenly or immediately all those anger. One of the prophets in the Bible said he was so offended that how could the children of Israel, how could they be so disorganized and really bring this kind foolishness to God. I'm just going to go there and give them a piece of my mind. And then he got there. He said, I sat where they sit. I saw what they see. I felt what they felt. And for 7 days, he couldn't open his mouth. Empathy is a power activated in order of magnitude that is greater when you interact with the person towards whom that anger is intended. Suddenly, you see that person up close and personal. You recognize, maybe for the first time, that this person is dealing with the same hope, the same fear, the same struggle, the same challenge, the same thing that you are dealing with, because you probably for the first time see that person as a human being. You recognize that this person is just trying to make ends meet, just like I do. And because of that, there is this warmth that comes all over you. There is a bucket of patience that is poured on you. There is a deluge of compassion that overrides and overwhelms you. And every of your misunderstanding, every of your anger. But do you know what most people do? When they are angry, they grab the phone. Or they go behind the computer. Send. And now you've released the word. Now you've sent the email. Now there is no way of retracting it. Even if you say sorry, the egg is broken. Even if you say, look, disregard that email, yes, they can delete it from their computer, but they cannot ever delete it from their minds. But if you are just taking that one step of seeing the person look at them in their eyes, you will suddenly realize it's not all of that. It is not all of that. So empathy is another character that you will develop, that you will grow in when you engage with other people in a face-to-face conversation. When you engage people in a face-to-face conversation, they stop being an object. They stop being a means to an end. They start to be human. When you talk on the phone, especially for instance, rather, when you're on the phone, you're at the checkout, you're talking to the cashier. As far as you are concerned, that cashier is not a human being, it's a robot. It's just a self-service desk that is there, because all you can do is concentrate on the phone. When you sit next to somebody in a social gathering, a party, and instead of talking to the person, you grab your phone. You've just treated that person as if it's just another part of the furniture of the house. But when you chat with the cashier, the checkout lady, hello, how are you? How's your day? Long hours. You look tired. How's it going? When are you finishing? When did you start? Oh, have you had break? When you do that, you are not just we are not just exchanging that seemingly robotic machine with a human being, but you are sowing into that person's life, because suddenly somebody talked to them, somebody sees them, somebody recognizes the fact that there's a breathing human being sitting behind this machine. You see them as a creature of flesh and blood, somebody with hope and aspiration, somebody with dreams and fears and concern, somebody whose life outside of the role that they're playing is just as real as yours. When you engage in an interaction with somebody, for instance, you are in a party and everybody is doing everything as they do, and everybody, have you, before I say that, I have noticed now that people go to parties not to fellowship, not to enjoy the party, not to talk to anybody, not to interact. Everybody goes to the party now with their phone to record whatever is going. And then they finish recording it, they get back to their seat and they are looking at what they have recorded. And then they finish that and they're posting it on Facebook. Then they grab the same phone and call their friends. Have you seen my post on Facebook? You should check out this person. You are in a party, for crying out loud. But when you engage with somebody, you interact with them. Some of the greatest things that will happen in your life and my life will not happen outside of relationships. And the relationships that are more real, are more valuable, are more cogent, are of high importance, are the ones that we develop face to face. When you make room in your schedule and you create space in your world wide web for another person, you have just fulfilled the most basic human needs that we all need, we all want, we all desire. The need to be recognized, the need to be acknowledged, the need to be seen, the need to be valued. When you value people by way of interaction, you have just ensouled, you have put soul back into that person just by giving them your attention. Is this helping anybody? Everybody seems to be quiet. Let me know if this is helping at all. Another benefit of having a face-to-face conversation with people is that you learn the art of asking questions. You know, asking questions is a discipline. It's an art. And it's an act. You have to learn how to do it. Communication is like a dance between two people. It forces both of you to work together in agreement. You must find your level, your point of commonalities, what holds you together. If not, you'll be stepping on each other's toes. Have you seen people, is it waltz they called it, or that one where you hold and you all move this way and move that way and all of that, and the woman fling her head back and all of that. If you don't move together in harmony, in sync, she will just say, excuse me, I need to go and sit down, because now you've stepped on her silver shoes 4 times in in a minute. So communication is like a dance. It forces you to find the point of commonalities between you and the person that you are communicating with or dancing with. It's the same thing when it comes to asking questions. A lot of people don't know or cannot have conversation with others because every question they ask has one or it's either a yes or a no answer. Are you okay? Yes. Have you just arrived? No. Are you driving? No. Will you be leaving soon? Yes. When you ask such questions, there's a place for them. But when that is your mode of conversation, that's all you're gonna get. Yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, yes, 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 no, no, yes, no. That's all you're gonna get. But if you in order for you to have good conversation with people, you must learn how to ask open-ended questions. Questions that will force the other person to provide or to give more information than a yes or a no. And the more information they give, the better the conversation, because everything they say will lead to even more questions and more. But the challenge is this: be careful that you don't overdo it and the person think, are you from the CIA or Scotland Yard? Is this interrogation or what? But the point I'm trying to make is, in order to have very good conversation with people, you must learn how to ask the right question. Naturally, people don't want to give too much information. The only way they do is in the process of answering a question. And unless you know how to frame a good question, you're not going to get anything out of that conversation or relationship. So, asking the right question, asking open-ended question is another character building block that you will develop, that you must develop in order for you to have good conversation with other people. The next one is that you must check in with yourself. You must check in with yourself. You must know where you stand per time. You must know the nature of your person, how your person flows. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? There are some people, it's not because they just loud and I know there are some people, they just way out there loud and rude and all of that. But some people, they will have conversation with themselves. Just them by themselves, they will have a big conversation going on. Have you seen children? Have you seen children playing, especially if it's only one child? Have you seen how they play? I remember my daughters, when they were growing up, they will have a whole village talking and chatting and everything, and it's just the two of them. They will even go as far as they will change their voice tone, they will change their body posture, they will change the way they. And I'm thinking, what? But what do we do as adults? We keep to ourselves. Oh, that's who I am. No, that's not who you are. That's who your lazy person is. Who said to you, who told you that you can't grow out of that clique that you have locked yourself into? But you must check with yourself. Am I an introvert or an extrovert? Am I the type of person, I'm the life of the party, or am I the one that is in the party and nobody even knew I was there? But whichever one it is, you don't have to lock yourself into that. There are instances when even the most introvert person can bring life and merry and joy and everything into a gathering. It doesn't change the fact that you are an introvert. It just means that you are able to fit into the environment where you find yourself. So by knowing your tendencies, it will help you to know what to look out for, how to relate, how to communicate, how to position yourself. And if you say you're an introvert, it will help you to know how to come out of your introvert shell. If you're an extrovert, it will help you to know how to rein yourself in so that you don't dominate everything that is going on in the party. You must learn how to check in with yourself as a way of having good conversation with other people. A good face to face conversation must be a conversation, not a debate, not an argument. Yes, there will be instances of strong opinions and strong views, but at the end of the day, remember what it is: conversation. A lot of people, they lose their head and they become something else when they go beyond conversation into a debate or an argument. So, what is the discipline that this will teach us in terms of our character as it relates to face-to-face interaction with others? You have to. The voice must be at the back of your head saying to you, John, this is a conversation, not a debate, not an argument. Mary, we're just having conversation. Don't turn this into a fight. And that is a discipline that you will not learn outside of face-to-face conversation. When you're on the phone, you can scream at people. Then when you're standing in front of them, you must hear yourself. You must learn to remind yourself we're having a conversation. Especially among spouses, husband and wife. It is a conversation. Not every opportunity to talk with one another is the third world war breaking out in your house. It is a conversation. It's not a competition. Who can shout the louder? Who can scream the bigger? No, it is a conversation. And so you have to learn to be ready to chat, to discuss, to exchange ideas, to air your opinion, but do so amicably. Do so with temperance. Do so with respect for the other person. It's not everything that you discuss must have a final conclusion or an agreement. You can still agree to disagree, but do it in a civilized way. In fact, in some instances, allowing opinions or conversation or exchange of ideas, allowing it to be left uncompleted is a great way to know where to pick it up when you meet again. So it's not every time you must come to a conclusion. Now, having said that, this one is now signed, sealed, and delivered. No, not every time. Some of the great conversations are the one after you've heard your opinion, you've heard my views, we put it on pause. This is now pause. We'll pick it up from there when we meet again in 2 weeks' time. That doesn't take anything away from either of us. It just says that we are committed to have a conversation, not a debate, not an argument. And finally, finally, another character trait that you will learn in the process of having a conversation is you will learn how to be true to yourself. You will learn how to be true to yourself. You see, your best asset, my best asset is being me. Your best asset is your true personality. And you must learn to embrace it. You must learn to carry it with grace. You must learn to not shy away from who you are. But more than that, you must learn not to impose yourself on others. And the best place to learn that is during a face-to-face conversation. A lot of people will shy away from having conversation because they say, oh, I just want peace. No, that is not peace. That is you losing yourself on the altar of, I don't want to have a conversation. I don't want this to become an argument. I don't want this to go out of hand. No, it cannot go out of hand if both of you will remember this is a conversation, not a debate. If all you do is coil back into yourself rather than expressing your personality, this life will be boring. Even the person that is showing off, after a while, they'll be like, what else can I do to impress this person? Not everything, it's not even bothering him or her. If you withhold yourself, if you hold back from your personality, you are robbing others of discovering who you are, what you are, and how you can influence them. Remember, we said every time you speak, you are actually influencing someone somewhere. So be ready to share who you are. Be ready to open yourself up to others. One of the biggest problems with men is this issue of not being true to yourself. Men are too self-conscious. They don't want to expose themselves. They don't want to be vulnerable to other men. And that is why the suicide rate amongst men is so high these days, because we don't talk. We don't talk one with another. But let two ladies meet in the toilet. They don't know themselves from anywhere. By the time they come out, they've known everything, they've said everything, they've discovered everything, they've talked about everything, they've cried together, and they are laughing out together. But men, we just want to prim and proper. Meanwhile, you are dying, be inside your shirt. Be true to yourself. And part of that is learning. Part of learning that is it's on the platform of conversation. When you can look at another man, another brother, and say to him, John, I need your help. I am really struggling in this area. I understand that some people are, their ears is like a sieve. As soon as it goes in there, it's on BBC News. And I understand that. But even in the midst of those rascals, there are still some good men. There are still some good women. There are still some good people that if you are honest and open to them, they will hold your integrity without exposing it. They will respect your person. And that is another aspect of learning. How to grow your character, how to develop good character on the platform of conversation. But if all you do is send text, if all you do is send a blog, an email, a Twitter, Instagram, this and that and that, everybody will click like on your Facebook. Everybody will click share on your Twitter. It don't cost them anything. It don't mean anything. No, let's be truthful. Every post that you've seen on Facebook and you've clicked like or love or share or post. Most of them. You can't remember what they were yesterday, but the following day. It's not because you want to forget them. It's because they don't really make they just whatever. But if somebody pulled you off the from the queue line to say, "Come, I need to tell you something," for the rest of your being, you will remember that person. You will remember the look on their face. You will remember the voice. You will remember the sweat on their brow. You will remember everything, including the perfume they're wearing. And that is the power of face to face conversation. Be proud of what you stand for and be ready to let others know the real you. We are all tired. Every one of us, we are tired of pretense, of acting, of make believe. We want to see the real you. Will the real you please stand up and let's see who you are and what you bring to the table? Because unless the real you comes to the party, we've been taken for a ride. Unless the real you step up to the plate, we don't know what we're dealing with. But worse than that, you will go back home with that same problem, with that same heartache, with that same issue, with that same challenge, because you're trying to act and pretend and put forth what you are not. So once again, for your sake, and maybe more importantly, for our sake, will the real you please stand up? Because until we see the real you, we've not had a conversation. And until we start having this face-to-face conversation, you are losing out, we are missing out, and the world is suffering. Just because you don't want to show who you are. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, as we close tonight, the truth of the matter is, there are certain things you will not learn in school. There are certain things no college will teach you. There are certain things no employment will teach you. There are certain things the only place you will learn them is on the street. There are certain things the only place you will learn them is when you have face-to-face conversation with another human being. When you relate one to another from the viewpoint of this is a human being. I don't care what their color is, what their background is, what their ethnicity is, where they live, what they eat, how they look. It doesn't matter. A human being. A human being. When you open your mouth and you talk to another human being, and you open your ears and you hear another human being talking to you, oh, the feeling is heavenly. The feeling is heavenly. For instance, every one of us that are married or in a relationship one way or another, you will not be with that person right now. That person will not be in your life right now if you never had a face-to-face conversation. I don't care even if it's an arranged marriage or no arrangement at all, or whatever it is. A time came when you have to stand in front of that person and express who you are, what you want, how you feel. And all of that is the power of face-to-face conversation. Thank you so much for being part of tonight's program. It has been a great time for me, and I hope it has been for you. We have come to the end of this topic. Conversation builds character. And let me use this opportunity to remind you If you miss any of my programs, maybe the one on Monday when we do the practical Bible study, or the ones on Thursday like today when we do Become a Better Man, if you miss any of them, I have a YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type Tunde Disu. Every one of these videos are there. Avail yourself. Share it with somebody. I'm sure they will thank you for it. Thank you so much. Have a great, blessed, wonderful rest of the week, and we'll catch up again next week. Bye-bye.